Hey, welcome back everyone. We are back out here at the Historic Front Porch Project. If you saw our last episode, and we certainly hope you did, you saw us putting the refurbished columns back in place and we got that upper structure put together. Now it's time to get going on repairing not repairing, but replacing all of the trim that goes over it and get the roof rafters in place. So let's get started. Quick refresher of what we got going on here before we start putting the trim up. So last time we put the decorative columns over the 6x6s that will now bear the actual weight. And then we put the bottom 1x in place and then two 2x12s around, which will carry the actual roof load once that gets rebuilt. So at this point we need to get the rest of the 1x and decorative elements on there, and then we will start moving on to the roof rafters. We're starting to get the arrangement figured out here as we go. Got the front board on, that's a 1x12. We gotta add blocks to support those. And then there's a 1x6 in here, and then another board that we're reusing that looks just like that. That kind of goes over part of it. And then after this, it steps out a little with some crown mold. And then there are some brackets which project out a little further. And then the finish fascia with the gutter. So we'll see how it keeps coming together. We have our trim coming together now, and we're getting higher and figuring out things as we go. So previously saw the 2x12 and the other 1x's there. So now we have applied the old crown that we're also going to see if we can get replicated. It's scraped up okay, but it could be better. We'll see. But for now we need it for the spacing. We can always take out and swap it. So then there is a 3-inch 1x, so we had to rip down a 1x4. That will catch the brackets, the dentulated brackets. And then to make the top work that projects out, we have the 2x12s, and then by the time you add everything up, 3 2x's gets us perfect once the 1x is attached here extending out. It's a 1x8, I believe. So that goes out, and then the rafters will come down and land on this 3 2x8 build-up, and then that 1x will work out to be the exact same height, which is nice. So then when that all projects out, that supports the extension that the brackets go out under, and then the gutter beyond that. So we'll get that put together, and we'll start getting the last little bit of the trim to go here, and then we can start on the rafters. That takes care of this part of the frame. So we looked at how we could do it kind of like they did it last time, with just individual pieces upright, creating the spaces, and we decided that while we may use a little more lumber, time and efficiency wise, this is a lot easier. And 2x8s thankfully don't cost much right now and gives us a nice bearing surface. So strength wise, there is no question that we're in good shape here now. So time to start figuring out the rafters. More nimble than you would expect for a fat man. I'm not. Yeah, but we got him right there. Yeah, it's right here, probably. top.
Right. You want to level your top.
Yeah. You gotta turn it on.
Did. Then click.
And then we'll line the bottom once we're...
Oh, put the... Oh, you just got to...
I don't know where it goes down here yet. We'll align that.
No.
Interesting.
What do you mean?
Just the way it sits. This board's a little uneven. They're all cut the same, so they're... Look at how you're shooting it.
I know, I hit a
Almost shot it
angle.
right out the side.
I know. I saw that. They did it. So crooked. This one's kind of
Because that's not
That's the bolt one.
perfectly...
So,
Yeah. You're lucky. That's the one that you barely shot.
I know. Scammers right now.
And I have to...
Have to pull the nail.
that nail out. Don't lean on the others. There's only one nail.
That one's skipped, huh?
That's what I decided.
Light? Just go down by the truck. Go in your truck?
Yep. This is what screws.
Now comes the hard part.
Yeah, you wanted to be here for some reason. That's why I was wondering why you didn't want to.
Well, it's not better. I got you ready. Let's put the hangers
I
on
know,
it.
but you still got to get down. I was letting you humor yourself.
Alright, I'm going to get hangers, I guess.
Yeah.
10 of them? Figure out where you're going to put it.
9 of them for now.
Figure out where to put it.
We do a lot of framing, but we are definitely not roof cutters. We do floors, walls, stairs regularly. Roofs are an odd thing that comes in occasionally. So we got the common rafters here figured out. These are all the same, although the ledger that they go against and the bottom board there still are have some subtle differences as they go, so they're all close enough. They're fine. Down there we have to go around the bay, and then at each end we have a hip. So there'll be a little more figuring out to do here. We got some compound miters, but we got the start going at least. It's maybe a short day. We may have some short days here. It's getting a heat wave building in, and we are pretty much in full sun here. So we'll see how that goes. We don't like working extra hard for no reason. Well, to an extent, being a little bit of a coward and just doing the common rafters first. So there's 3 that come off the front of the bay here that are just shorter versions of the rest of these. So in between we have one with a compound miter, and then we need to figure out the hip there, and then it should be corresponding same hip on this end. And then the hangers get these nice adjustable rafter hangers. They're a little bit of an upgrade over what was actually specified in the plans with the spinny adjustable thing. I forget the Simpson number on it, but these were in the clearance section at Lowe's, so they were substantially cheaper than the other rafter hanger options, so why not go with the best price for a better product? So now that we have all of the commons in place, except that guy because it was our template and the bolt just happened to fall exactly right under it. Of course it did. We will move on to doing some real figuring and thinking that I'm not used to, but this should actually be easy because it's the same slope as the common. But we'll get it figured out. It's just math, right? Just a quick note on the rafter tails you see there. We left them running long. They'll snap a straight line across. That should be straight what we got built already up there, but I bet there's some subtle variance. So we'll get them all the same once everything's in place. We continue to make progress on the rafters, but we are getting slowed by the heat wave that's building in. It's pretty nasty out here. So we got all of the common rafters in, except for where we need to notch around a bolt. And then this hip down here I wrangled with for a while because it doesn't go out directly over the corner. And then, because we don't do this often, it took me a little to get the other stuff figured out, but that's a start on that. We'll get the rest of it tomorrow, and then we still have the whole hip to do down at this end, but we're getting closer. So we are down to the last rafter. That's exciting. So like I said, the commons were pretty easy. The hip here took a little work. We kind of are cheating. Nothing wrong with the way we're doing it. So we do have this angle cut, and then we're just letting them run long, basically like we did out there with our bottom level cut, correct, and then the plumb cut we're gonna do with the string line. This we're doing both the plumb and level after we put them up, and part of the reason of that is the way this angle comes. This hip is really close to the end, and then by the time you get the angle you need and the we'll call it soffit and fascia sized up right, the well, you can't really, unfortunately you can't really see it. The actual rafters sit above this, what we'll call a top plate, for lack of a better term, or a sill. So we're actually holding them up the ½ inch higher they need to go with blocks and almost creating our own truss. But with the little bit of load that these are going to carry, that'll be just fine. And then once we get this last rafter right here where I'm standing, in place. We are probably going to go home for today because, again, it's another hot day, and thankfully we do have a little bit of shade as it gets later in the day, but it's still pretty gross. But then we'll come back and get our line snapped and cut, and we'll get the sheathing on top, and then we'll be water, well, it's open below, so watertight's maybe not the right word, but we'll be dry on the roof part. And here's the completed view below. This is a good example of don't be intimidated by things you haven't done before or don't do that often. Like we said, we rarely cut roofs, even though we do a lot of other framing. But I knew this was a big part of the project, and I knew we could get it figured out. So it took a little while, but it's there. I don't think I had any miscuts, surprisingly, and part of that is due to, quote, cheating the system of letting it run long and then cut it off after, but there's nothing wrong with doing things like that if it gets the job done. We're gonna end up with the same thing, even if it's maybe not the most efficient way. It's still there, and it'll still look good. So I'm happy with it. And when we're back, like I said, we'll get that cut off, and then it's really going to be looking good up there. Pretty much done with the top at that point. Then we just need rails, a little more trim, lattice under there, risers. So there's still plenty to do, but we are definitely getting there. Now, as far as learning rafters and all that goes, the internet is a great resource. Social media in particular, there are guys that slay the roof cutting game on Instagram, for instance. There is plenty to learn from our fellow craftsmen. So go searching, check some people out, watch some videos, read some articles. Always more to learn. I know I'm, even after doing this, gonna go home and watch some more videos on roof cutting. Well, we're back at it today, and as planned, we got the tails cut off to the right plumb cut, and then on the side, both the level and plumb cuts. So now we'll get started adding the rest of the 1-bys that go around that, and after that, sheathing time. Well, we got all our rafters trimmed and the 1-bys in place. It's another stupidly hot and maybe worse, really humid day. So we're just working a half day like we have been some days recently and probably will for the rest of this week. So when we get here in the morning tomorrow, we will start working on the sheathing. Well, we're back today to get the sheathing on. Just one last overview of the roof here. There still is trim details that need to go on below, but they need to be stripped still, so we'll be coming back at some point for that. But we will start getting our zip cut and carried up here. Well, we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets down, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 more to finish up. And then you can see right at the top there, there's about a 4-inch gap, of course. So fill that in, and then we'll apply the tape, roll the tape, and then the top is ready for shingles, which we are not doing the shingle part. That will be subcontracted out to my roofer because they are better than me. I'm not so good with the flashing and the counter flashing, and they also provide the warranty on it. So lots of benefits to not doing your own shingles unless you are actually a roofer. So we'll climb on down and we'll grab a couple more sheets. So the east end is pretty straightforward, just a hip roof. But this end, we got the hip and we got the bay coming out. So we'll be doing some cutting around, making it fit nice and snug or loose. And I don't know if you can really tell, but this hip and this hip are actually not the same. This comes in further to meet the windowsill here, and this one comes in to meet the bay window, and they are not equidistant from the side of the house. So this side is a little bit steeper. So we had to figure each hip individually, but we got there. So this last spot here was just a little bit longer than one sheet, so we split it 1/3, 2/3, give or take, instead of having a little spot down here with just a little triangle. So let's push this nice cut here in place and see if it fits. I did not even test it yet. So half over that, right there. That looks pretty good. So we'll get that nailed down. We'll still need just a little piece right there. We'll get that filled in. And then all we got is the strip there. And we got the official last piece to go in. And yeah, it goes right in. Nice. All right, so finish nailing this, and then it's time for tape. And that is the view of the complete roof. So down each hip, and we're gonna add some zip going up the bay there. That is what was there previously, but there's some room back there. We can get water and air sealed up better that way. But looks like we may actually have a little bit of rain coming, which would be really nice, because it's, for as wet as it was earlier this spring, it's been super dry lately. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all taped up, and then we can get out of here if we need to. Remember, always roll the tape. It really does matter. You're actually pushing the adhesive into the substrate and making the bond really durable. You can sort of readjust if you need to before you roll. After you roll the tape, you can still get it off if you try, but you're going to be using a new piece of tape. So it doesn't take but a moment to roll over the joint. Just do it, whether you have the official roller like I do or not. These have actually gotten kind of expensive, but I bought mine several years ago when they were cheaper. And worthy investment, and it does put that little Z in it that they can confirm if you really got to that point, but nobody actually gets a warranty, I'm sure, no matter the company. So that is the last joint to roll here. Not those joints, though that is legal in Missouri. And that is the complete sheathed and taped roof. Here we go with an overview a little further out. So like I said, we'll get zip up at the bottom of that dormer there, or not a dormer, bay window. But otherwise, we are good to go up here. Next project is, there is the brackets and other trim components to add on the underside there. We don't have a rail, and then we need the ceiling inside. So we'll head down and start working on that. We'll get a quick view of how things look from down below at this point. So, of course, plenty of trim to still go, but that's next time. And then with the sheathing on, finally back in shade down here. So we'll get this all closed up, but looking good. Well, that finishes up this video. As always, thanks for watching. We really appreciate all our viewers. In the next episode, we should be getting to the rest of the trim that needs to be applied both to the roof and down below, and we need a ceiling inside as well. So we'll get going on that soon. Again, thanks for watching. If you haven't already done so, give us a like and a subscription. Really helps a small channel like we have here. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.